Folks on a campaign trail often use the phrase service before self as a cornerstone of their platform. In the case of Rosalyn Glenn, it's more than a cornerstone, it's the foundation. The first-time candidate is vying to be the first African-American woman to serve as South Carolina's treasurer. She explains that at the core of her motivation to run is a desire to help the state's residents reap the most from their investments. With a 20-year background in banking, financial planning, and community service, Rosalyn Glenn felt that she had something to offer and was ready to serve. We sat down with Rosalyn to learn more about her and her desire to serve. Rosalyn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time to sit down with me. I'm so glad we're able to get this interview in. We've been planning and trying to get together for a minute. First thing I would like for you to do, please, for the people who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I am Rosalyn Glenn. I am a native South Carolinian, born in a little town, small town, upstate called Wellford, South Carolina. My parents still live there, my brother and my sister, and my brother has a family with my niece and my nephew. I was educated in the public schools there, graduated from James F. Burns High School, came down here to Columbia to attend the University of South Carolina. So I'm a graduate of the University of South Carolina. I'm, very engaged in the community, member of Delta Sigma Theta. I work with the League of Women Voters. I'm on the board of the Fortitude Foundation. Work with the advisory board with the Black Expo, so I'm very community-minded. I love people. I like to laugh a lot. I get in trouble sometimes for laughing, but I like to laugh a lot. I guess just an all-around, I consider myself a great person.
Want to know, why did you decide on running for treasurer?
So, my profession is financial advisor. I'm a financial advisor by profession. I have worked with the citizens of South Carolina in that industry for the past 25 years. So I've done everything from basic budgeting all the way up to the wealth management and investing services. And that piece, planning for retirement with my clients, I had to kind of understand the South Carolina retirement system and the pension and how it works in order to be able to advise them. And in learning about that pension, I realized that that pension is not sustainable. So in my little limited knowledge about how things work in South Carolina initially, I thought, well, I have the expertise. I'm a registered investment advisor. I'm a financial services certified professional. I've, opened a bank and run it and, very successfully. And so I have all of the skills necessary that I thought to kind of help work to shore up the pension, and to work with the state to help us to come up with a better plan. So that's really why I thought that I could kind of get in and work and help to do that. Just my need to help, really. Not being political at all, so I didn't know all the politics and all that I've learned since making that decision to get into the race. But that's my initial why.
Okay. You mentioned you've opened a bank. For those who don't know, tell us a little bit about your experience and what bank that was.
So it actually started back in 1991. Reverend Charles Jackson at the Brooklyn Baptist Church had this idea of offering financial services, because during that time the whole redlining was going on, and it was not easy for Black people to assess loans and be able to do the things that they needed. And so he had the idea of creating a financial institution. We really didn't get off the ground until a little bit later, but I was chosen to kind of run that task force. And so I ended up working with a small group of about 5 other persons, led them to writing the charter, working with the National Credit Union Administration, the National Federation of of community development credit unions, the state regulatory system here in South Carolina. We wrote the charter. They granted us the charter in May of 1999. And because of the work that I had done in writing the charter and securing it, they allowed me to work as the president CEO of the credit union. So we started with $0 in assets, and I built it to $3.2 million in assets, working as the loan officer, the HR person, every single area of the credit union, the janitor, whatever needed to be done, I ran that credit union, and it's still open today. As a matter of fact, they are currently in the process of building their own location across the street from where the church is. So it's exciting for me to see my work still progressing, because we're coming up on 2019. It'll be 20 years that the credit union has been opened and operating, and so that's one of my proudest accomplishments, actually.
Okay. South Carolina's annual budget is about $8 billion. And coming from a small community credit union, what are some of the things that, the qualifications that are transferable? What are some of the things you see wrong, or you feel that you can do better in terms of with South Carolina's budget?
So dealing with budgeting, the principles are the same when you're talking about budgeting and creating wealth and managing money. That doesn't change from consumers to commercial businesses to the state. We have to make sure that we have a way to create income, which in the sense of the state is we get our income from the taxes that the citizens pay, the fees that they pay across all of these agencies. That money comes in, and then it becomes the responsibility of the legislature to decide how to allocate those dollars so that they can best be used for all citizens across the state. And you've got to work within what you have to work with to meet every need. So you've got to do some real serious, looking at what the priorities are and then dealing with the priorities. And that's what I did with the Brooklyn Credit Union in order to be able to grow it successfully. That's what I have done in my own business that I've operated, for the past 11 years, a financial consulting business that I've opened, and that's what I've done in that business. And that's what I've done with my clients, is to help them to really look at their income, manage their expenses so that they can create the livelihood that they want for themselves. And South Carolina has been guilty of not allocating the dollars to where it matters the most. And while the Treasurer's Office really has no responsibility to how that money is allocated, I think one of the things that I know I will do in that position is to be a resource to the representatives and the senators who have the responsibility of making the decisions of how the money is allocated, and doing that by keeping the forefront of the people in mind. Now, you ask what I can do. Well, with my financial experience, I bring all of that with me, the knowledge that I've acquired over the years. And we currently have a treasurer who, while I'm sure he does a great job in his field of business as an exterminator, he doesn't have any financial background whatsoever. And so that is one thing that I know I will bring and be able to add immediate value to that treasurer's position, is my experience in helping us to really be considerate and mindful of the budget process.
Okay. So how has your campaign been perceived or received by people in South Carolina? What are you hearing out on the trail?
Surprisingly, it's been a great experience. I am not political at all. I have never, I'm a good citizen. I've always participated in the political process by voting, but I haven't always been as engaged as I am now. And the people have been very kind and have received my efforts because they see, I think, the genuineness and the authenticity of why I'm trying to run. This is bigger than me. It is certainly stretching me as an individual, but the people and the energy that I get from talking to them has helped me tremendously to know that I've made the right decision to run. I think that people in this current climate that we're in, they are looking for people who have integrity and who have character. And one of the things that I've said as I have crossed this state and talked to people is that I bring both of those things with me, my level of high integrity and my character. And however I leave this office, you know, I'm still going to have my character and my integrity. And I think that is what has resonated with the people. And they want to see something different. And the other thing that I've said to the people is you got to hold us accountable. You cannot let me come out during this campaign season and tell you a lot of things because I need your vote. Because that's the truth. I cannot win this election if people don't go out and vote for me. So I do, in fact, need their votes. But once I'm elected, then they still got to hold me accountable. And the same conversations that we are having as I am pursuing this office are the same kinds of conversations we've got to have after I pursue this office, because I got to keep the needs of the people at the forefront.
Okay. You're running on the Democratic Party's ticket. Mm-hmm. Treasurer is one of those offices that oftentimes people will split the ticket, and then you, of course, have swing voters. Mm-hmm. What would you say to independent voters who may, or Republicans who may decide to vote for you? Would you be willing to, if it's not all Democratic ticket, would you be willing to work bipartisanship? Would you be willing to show bipartisanship and work with people of the party?
We have to do that, right? That's a given. We have to do that. I say jokingly sometimes as I'm talking to people, one of the things that I often got checked off through the years on my report card was works well with others. So I'm able to collaborate. I'm able to understand people's needs, all of our needs. I'm able to do that. And as the treasurer for the citizens of South Carolina, I have to work for all of them. Now, one of the things that I believe that Republican, Democrat, American, Libertarian, any party person would want is to know that they've got a qualified person in the position. You know, whether to be honest, I'm not even sure why the treasurer's position is a political office anyway. And that is a conversation that I'd like to be able to have with the legislatures to say, should this be a partisan position? Because I don't think it does, because we're working for all of the citizens. We're managing the money of every taxpayer, regardless of what their party is. And we have to not make it partisan in order to remain objective. And make sure that we're being fair with how we distribute the taxpayers' monies. So definitely, you know, I'm working for all of the people, and I think that all of the people want a qualified candidate working for them.
Okay. My last question for you is more of a community-wide question. Right now in the country, you have record number of women running for office. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, over 250 women, I believe, now running for the House of Representatives, both mm-hmm. Republican and Democrats. Was this mood and did this mood or did this movement in the country anyway inspire you to run?
Well, I have this, we've heard the phrase, this is the year of the woman. Mm-hmm. And I do believe it is the year of the woman, but I also believe that it has always been the year of the woman. And what's happened is the country is just now recognizing that women lead differently. We just do. We lead differently than men. We have a greater consideration. My reason for running was not to try to get on board with this is the year of the woman. I really had a genuine and authentic intent to make a difference. You know, in this race, while in South Carolina, I would be the first African-American woman to ever hold a constitutional office. And so, you know, I've heard a lot of people that have reminded me, Rosalyn, you're going to be making history. And what I say to them is, I'm excited to be making history, but I'm more excited to be making a difference. And that's what I bring. If I can ride that wave of women, the year of the woman, then I would be crazy not to take advantage of that. But I didn't put my name in the hat, you know, hinged on that. I put my name in the hat because I believe I can do the job. And I know that I'm qualified to do the job, and that I'm capable, and because I love South Carolina. And as a native South Carolinian, we've got to do some things differently. We've heard all of the stories about, you know, South Carolina is a part of the good old boy system, and that's how we operate everything on every level. And we, if that is true, that is because we as citizens have allowed it to happen. And so as a concerned citizen now, I want to be able to get in there, use the little bit of courage that I have to speak to the truth of what is happening so that we can make a difference for the citizens of this state, and really be the great state that South Carolina is.
Okay. We go to the polls, I believe, in a little less now than 30 days.
Yeah.
Is there anything before we go that you'd like to say to the voters of South Carolina? You know,
I would just say one of the things that I've learned as I've crossed the state, and I have been, I'm losing count, but I think I'm up to 40 of the 46 counties. And I have met people who are just like you and me, want the same things for their families. I'm really taken aback with the people that I'm meeting, trying to understand how South Carolina is even a Republican state, to be honest, with the kinds of people that I'm meeting. But what I have been challenging people to do is to get engaged, to stay engaged, and to be involved. I think that it has taken this current climate that we're in for people to understand that their vote and their voice really matters. And when we speak up and when we speak out about issues that are important to us, we can all take ownership in making South Carolina the great state that it is. So my challenge is for all of us as South Carolinians to be engaged and to be involved, to vote, to go to the school board meetings, to go to the city council meetings, to hold our elected officials accountable to what they say they're going to do and what our needs are. We cannot let them forget what our needs are. And I think we've done that. And I'm hoping to be able to be that voice to help us to remember that on both sides. As politicians, we can't forget about the people. And as people, the people have to hold the politicians and the elected officials accountable.
Okay. Rosalyn, if somebody wanted to find out more information about the campaign or get involved, how would they do that?
So they can actually go to my website. It's rosalynglenn.com. Lots of information is there. They can call our office at 803-419-7473, and we will return the call. And what else? Facebook, campaign to elect Rosalyn. They can go out there and like our campaign page. On Twitter, it's Rosalyn4SC, and they can follow us there as well.
Okay. Rosalyn, thank you for taking time to sit down with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity.